wake up on a bed of cold marble, wrapped in the finest purple silk. A servant hands you a silver goblet of sweet wine, but you hesitate to take a sip. You look at your guards, your family, your food, and you feel absolutely nothing but pure terror. Because for a Roman emperor, a simple morning routine is a desperate fight for survival, and the odds are heavily stacked entirely against you. Today, you probably think of absolute power as the ultimate form of security. You imagine endless wealth, absolute command, and living above the law. You picture yourself giving orders, completely untouchable, protected by the strongest walls and the most fierce soldiers the ancient world has ever seen. But in reality, wearing the crown was statistically one of the most dangerous jobs on earth. Power did not bring safety, it brought a target. According to modern historical data, roughly 20% of Roman emperors actually survived long enough to die of old age or natural causes. That means nearly 80% of the most powerful men in the ancient world were assassinated, executed, or died brutally in military battles. The very throne you sit on is essentially a giant bullseye painted directly on your back. Everyone is constantly watching your every move. Your worst enemies aren't just foreign armies marching at the borders of the empire. Those threats are obvious, loud, and far away. Your real threats are the people sleeping in the very same palace. Your senators, your trusted generals, and even your own family members. You must constantly read the room, searching for the slightest hint of betrayal in every single conversation, every smile, and every handshake. If you trust the wrong person for even a single second, your glorious reign ends in blood. Paranoia is your only survival tool. But the physical threats from daggers, swords, and plotting senators are just the loud killers. You can see them coming if you look closely. The quietest, most relentless assassin is actually hiding right inside the luxurious walls of your palace, slowly killing you before you even notice. The aqueducts bring millions of gallons of fresh water straight into your private palace. It is a miracle of ancient engineering, but this luxury hides a dark secret. The pipes carrying your water are made entirely of lead, slowly leaching toxic heavy metals. Modern historical research confirms that this famous Roman plumbing system was unknowingly poisoning the Roman elite. As lead builds up in your bloodstream, it silently attacks your nervous system. It causes severe joint pain, fatigue, and you sit on your throne, rubbing your aching temples. You think you are just stressed from ruling the empire, but you are literally being poisoned. And the water isn't even the worst part. To show off your incredible wealth, you drink the finest, sweetest wine available in Rome. To make this wine sweeter, your servants boil grape juice down into a thick syrup called sappa. But they boil it inside lead pots. The boiling process creates lead acetate, historically known as the sugar of lead. You are actively sweetening your drinks with a potent neurotoxin. Even your daily grooming routine is deadly. The brilliant white face powder worn by the ancient elite to show high status was also lead-based. Every morning, servants cover your face in this toxic dust. You slowly absorb it through your skin and breathe it directly into your lungs. This creates a twisted historical paradox. The richer and more powerful you became in ancient Rome, the more lead you put into your body. A poor peasant drinking plain water from a cheap clay cup was actually much safer from this specific invisible killer than the emperor himself. Over months and years, your mind becomes clouded. Your mood swings violently, your body grows weaker, and your hands begin to shake. But as an ancient ruler, showing any sign of physical weakness is completely fatal. Because the moment you look fragile, the people who want your crown will stop waiting for the lead to kill you and take action. Because your enemies are constantly plotting in the shadows, you cannot simply hide. You must proactively defend yourself against the most common royal assassination method. Historian Adrienne Mayer details a bizarre survival tactic used by ancient rulers called Mithridatism. It is named, instead of avoiding toxins, you actively seek them out. The strategy is to force your body to build a brutal, unnatural tolerance over time. So, before you eat your luxurious breakfast, you open a small glass vial. You carefully consume it. It makes you feel sick, dizzy, and terrible. But tomorrow, you will take a slightly larger drop. Then, over several months, your immune system adapts. You literally have to poison yourself every single day just to prevent others from successfully poisoning you. But even with this extreme biological defense, you still cannot trust your own kitchen. You require a royal food taster for every single meal. The royal taster has one of the most stressful jobs in the ancient world. Before you take a bite, he must eat a portion of everything. You sit and stare at him in total silence. You wait to see if he collapses, starts choking, or begins to bleed from the mouth. If he falls to the floor, the kitchen staff is immediately executed, and you simply skip breakfast. But what if the assassin is smarter? Some poisons do not work instantly. So even after your taster survives the first bite, every single mouthful of roasted meat or sweet fruit still feels like playing a deadly game of chance. The ultimate luxury of the ancient world comes with the ultimate price. The food that sustains your life is also the weapon most likely to end it. You finally finish your meal, exhausted by the sheer anxiety of eating. You survived breakfast. But now you must face an even greater nightmare. The heavily armed men standing right outside your door, who are supposedly sworn to protect your life. The Praetorian Guard is your elite personal military force. They stand outside your bedroom, your dining hall, and your baths, watching everything. You pay them a massive fortune in gold coins just to keep you breathing. It is basically the most expensive life insurance in history. But there is a terrifying twist. The Roman historian Suetonius documented that these elite guards were actually the biggest danger to the emperor. They realize very quickly that they hold all the physical power in the palace. If they do not like your rules, they do not just quit. They will literally assassinate you in the hallways and then auction off the entire Roman Empire to whoever pays them the most gold. So, you realize you cannot fully trust the heavily armed guards. But what about your own flesh and blood? Can you trust your family? Unfortunately, no. In the ancient royal world, your brother's uncles are often your biggest and most ruthless political rivals. To inherit your absolute power and your unimaginable wealth, they only need one simple thing to happen. Your heart just needs to stop beating. You must sleep with one eye open, terrified that your beloved family members might be secretly bribing those very guards standing outside your door. According to ancient historical records, developing extreme paranoia was not a mental illness for an emperor. It was an absolute basic survival. If you somehow survive the morning without being poisoned, stabbed by a senator, or betrayed by your guard, your incredibly dangerous day, you step outside your safe walls into the blinding sunlight of Rome. Thousands of citizens are waiting for you in the crowded streets. You are expected to attend the public games, wave confidently to the massive crowds, and pretend you are an untouchable, fearless living god. But as you ride slowly in your royal chariot, every dark window, crowded balcony, and narrow alleyway looks like a potential. You are completely trapped in a beautiful golden cage, and this relentless daily psychological stress is actually beginning to physically alter your brain. History often remembers ancient emperors as completely insane, labeling them as mad kings who committed bizarre, cruel, but modern science suggests you aren't just crazy. Your brain is literally being destroyed by a combination of biological and environmental disasters. First is the royal obsession with pure bloodlines. To keep absolute power in the family, your ancestors consistently married their own close relatives. A study by Alvarez and colleagues on royal dynasties showed that generations of severe inbreeding drastically reduced genetic. This biological trap leaves you with a highly compromised immune system, severe. Second, your daily life of cortisol, a stress hormone originally designed for short emergencies like escaping a tiger, is flooding your brain every single minute of the day. Evolutionary psychology shows that this chronic, endless stress physically damages your hippocampus, making basic logic and emotion. Third, as we discovered earlier, you are actively consuming heavy metals. Toxic lead from your sweet wine and makeup is actively eating your brain cells. So you have a genetic trap, a brain melting from toxic heavy metals, and an endless flood of severe panic hormones. Is it any wonder that historical emperors were reported to have completely lost touch with reality, acting out in violent and unpredictable ways? You start experiencing severe hallucinations in the dark. You violently lash out at your closest allies, and you might even declare yourself a living god. You hide behind thick marble walls, wrapped in heavy armor, absolutely convinced that every single shadow is holding a dagger aimed at your throat. Your absolute power was supposed to make you an untouchable god, but instead it has turned you into a sick, terrified, and highly unstable prisoner. And tonight, this sick and unstable prisoner must host a massive royal banquet for the very same people who desperately want him dead. The massive royal banquet finally ends, but you cannot celebrate. Suddenly, a sharp, stabbing pain you are rushed back to your cold marble bedroom. The combination of lead poisoning, endless stress, and toxic rich food has completely broken your body. In a desperate panic, your loyal servants immediately call for the most expensive, elite physicians in the entire Roman Empire to save your life. But this is the ancient world, and being wealthy enough to afford the top doctors is actually a terrible, terrifying death sentence. Medical historian Vivian Nutten explains that ancient elite medicine was heavily based on balancing bodily fluids, or if you are suffering from severe migraines, trepanation might be the standard royal treatment. This means they will literally drill a hole straight into your skull while you are wide awake, completely without any modern anesthesia. You lie helplessly on your silk bed, sweating in absolute terror, as a dark shadow If they do not drill into your head, they might prescribe a luxury potion made from crushed gemstones, lead dust, or even liquid mercury. A poor peasant who gets sick will simply drink hot water, eat plain soup, and rest quietly in their humble mud hut to recover naturally. But as the emperor, your incredible wealth guarantees that your medical treatment is violently painful, highly toxic, and statistically much more fatal. By pure luck, you somehow survive the doctors, but now you are physically exhausted, bandaged up, and more vulnerable than ever before. The sun slowly sets over Rome. The Grand Palace becomes completely dark, and an eerie, heavy silence The heavily armed Praetorian Guards take their positions for the night shift. You stare at your heavy bedroom door in the dark. You survived the day, but the most dangerous part of your life is just beginning. As you stare into the dark, the heavy wooden door slowly creaks open. A tall, heavily armored figure steps quietly into your private bedroom. It is the Praetorian Guard, the exact same man you paid a massive fortune in gold just a few hours ago to protect you. But he is not alone. Stepping out from the dark shadows behind him is your own trusted senator, holding a sharp silver dagger. This is the ultimate Roman tragedy. Your immense wealth, your lead-sweetened wine, and your extreme paranoia could not save you from this moment. There were no democratic elections. Absolute power was almost always transferred through pure violence. Historical records show that notorious emperors like Caligula and Commodus were assassinated right inside their own palaces. Help! Somebody, please help me. The assassins step closer to your bed. They do not just want to end your life, they want to completely erase your entire existence. Through a brutal Roman practice called damnatio memoriae, the Senate will officially order your name to be violently chiseled off every stone monument. Your grand marble statues will be pulled down with ropes and smashed into pieces. Your royal legacy will be intentionally destroyed. The scheming senator raises his sharp dagger. You finally realize that the beautiful golden crown was never actually a symbol of personal safety. It was simply a shiny, incredibly heavy target that essentially guaranteed a brutal, terrifying, and deeply lonely death in the cold dark. The scene fades completely to black. Your glorious reign as the single most powerful human being on Earth is now officially over. But let's pause the simulation and step out of the ancient world for a second. Let's look closely at your own modern life. Today, you do not wear a purple silk cape, and you generally do not worry about being stabbed by a senator in your sleep. You wake up to the gentle sound of your smartphone alarm. You drink clean, filtered water, and you eat food that will not kill you. Your life is statistically incredibly safe, yet your ancient brain still desperately craves absolute status, wealth, and power over other people. You constantly chase promotions, luxury cars, and bigger houses, deeply believing that standing at the very top of the hierarchy will. But evolutionary history shows us a completely different reality. Climbing to the absolute top does not make you safe. It makes you a target. When you achieve high status today, you might not be poisoned with lead, but your brain is still drowning in the exact same toxic cortisol. You suffer from chronic modern stress, extreme paranoia about losing your wealth, and the constant fear of being completely betrayed by your business competitors. Just like the ancient emperors, you might spend your entire life building a magnificent golden cage, only to lock yourself permanently inside it. You want to be the undisputed ruler of your world? You want absolute power? Evolutionary psychology warns us to be incredibly careful what we desire. Because if you truly got what you wanted, you wake up on a bed of cold marble, wrapped tightly in the finest purple silk. Drink, my lord. It is the finest vintage. No, I cannot. It's poisoned. I know it. You look at your heavily armed guards, your own trusted family members, and your luxurious food, and you feel absolutely nothing but pure terror. Because for a Roman emperor, a simple morning routine is a desperate, impossible fight for survival. If you enjoyed exploring the terrifying reality of ancient history and evolutionary psychology with us, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new documentary. We dive deep into human history every single week on this channel.